Hi everyone, and welcome to Tap Into Your Creativity. I am so excited. We have an incredible guest artist today joining us all the way from the UK, Sally Ann Ashley. She is going to join us hopefully soon. Sally, you just need to request to go live with me. Here, I'm Sally, so just accept it. And hopefully she'll join us soon. Oh, and
Hello, Sandra. Hello.
hi, so great to see you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I feel quite honored to be one of your army of artists.
Oh my God, I am so honored to have you here. You're an incredible human being. I've gotten to know you, and you have a beautiful soul. And I think that you're just an incredible asset to tap into your creativity. We always are looking for people like you who have just such a sunshine in their soul, and you have so much to give and to inspire people at home, and that's what we do here. So, welcome.
That's incredibly kind of you, Sandra. Those words are really nice. Thank you. Yeah, as I say, I'm honored to be here. So thanks for allowing me to be.
Of course, I just saw our friend Natalie popped in. Hi, Natalie. She's going to be joining us on Saturday, so I can't wait. So, anyways, hello, Shabana. Hi, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So, Sally Ann, please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are right now.
Um, so, what right now in the present is or so
Well, you're
well.
joining us all the way from the UK. That we can say.
I'm joining you from the UK. I'm on the southeast coast in the UK, a place called Essex, and I'm joining you today from, as you can see, my huge new studio that wow, I have to pinch myself still, but I'm here and I'm going to give this a go.
I'm so excited, and we'll get to your huge new studio because that didn't happen right away, obviously, and many steps to get to where you are today. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so right back from when?
Yeah, back from your childhood. Yeah.
Okay, so I've had quite a colourful life. I've done quite a lot of things, so I've tried to sort of put it into a list that I can hopefully keep quite brief. But as a child, I wasn't one of these sort of really creative people that always had a paintbrush in their hand and was always naturally going to be creative in that sense. I did show strengths in art at school, but I really took to textiles and sewing. I used to sew from quite a young age. And I remember my sister buying me those, the cross stitch kits.
Yes. Love
But
those cross-stitched ones.
I love those, and I think it's such a slow, involved, meditative process, and I think that's what really captures me because I can just go into that then and forget about whatever else is sort of happening. So I knew I liked that from a young age. And then at school, I did show strengths in art mostly and like the still lifes and drawing and things. So I did move on to college and I studied art and photography. But on the art side, I didn't really take to the painting, if I'm honest, because it was like copying images and things. And I didn't really know what I was doing back then. And I don't know, it was a bit of, art school can be quite cliquey, and when you're not feeling that confident, I kind of had that, so I felt like a bit of an outsider. And again, I was naturally more drawn to the textile side. And after college, I couldn't make my mind up about university. I couldn't make my mind up about what to study, so I just started working for a few years. And after a few years, decided, nope, this isn't for me. I need to go back to art. So I went to, at the time, I lived in a place called Leicester in the UK. It's like in the Midlands. And I went to a really lovely university there. And I studied textiles. It was kind of an experimental textiles course, like mixed with fine art. So it actually ticked so many boxes for me because I did a bit of weaving, a bit of like tapestry, dry felting. It was all these textiles rolled into one, but with kind of a fine art element. So that was amazing. And I think then I started to really build my work ethic, because it meant so much after I'd worked for a few years, and I thought, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. So I was classed as a mature student, but I was only sort of 21. And I was in the studio literally when they opened the doors in the morning till they'd kick me out at night. And after 2 years, I'd met a really good friend there, and we decided, she was the same as me, she'd gone back as a mature student, and we wanted to get our third year like all right, and you know, we didn't want to waste any time, so we decided we'd take a year out to experiment with loads of materials and processes so that we would do really well in our third year. However, we decided to we thought it would be a good idea to buy a camper van and put our sewing machines in the back and make our way around Europe. It didn't happen. That idea got waylaid, but we did move closer to London in the place that I live now, and we had a clothes making business for a few years, and we used to make accessories and clothes, and we used to make them from recycled fabrics. And at the time, back then in my early 20s, it wasn't, you didn't see as much of it as you did now. And I think that really sort of fueled my enthusiasm for histories in fabrics, worn fabrics, if these fabrics could talk, you know, like all the history of the place and things. So that's something, I'm skipping ahead a bit, but that's something that's really important in my work today, is like layering and lines of history underneath, like in underpaintings. And I think, I don't know, there's a connection there for sure. And so, yes, and we had a little shop, and we used to sell all our things, and it was like an installation, really. It was very cool.
How fun. It sounds so fun.
It was so fun. They were pretty crazy days, to be honest. And we used to sell, actually, every weekend we used to go up to, I don't know if you'd have heard of it, it's a famous market in London, Portobello Market. And we had a stall there, and we used to go up there every week to sell our wares, and yeah, fun times.
Wow.
And then we decided we ended the business, we went our separate ways, and then I was then part of, I was with a partner, and we had a furniture business, a furniture making business. And again, we started that with reclaimed wood and all these like different reclaimed elements. And again, it was about the histories and things. So I knew that that was kind of then a running theme. So that was really fun. And alongside all of this, I mostly held full-time jobs, and it was mostly in retail. I used to be like a retail manager and sort of go and visit lots of, you know, shops, but they were always for like luxury furniture brands or luxury interior brands. So I think, you know, I'm really grateful for that, because that really, in terms of like presentation and how the quality of things and like products in general, that gave me a really good foundation of kind of how I work today with finishes. And, you know, it's just that working to a high standard. And I think that gave me a lot of training and a lot of like good foundations to work from.
Yeah, it sounds like you were always very, I don't know, like you were drawn to switching and making things out of what you had, and repurposing and redoing things. And with the clothing, with the furniture, I believe now with the painting, in a way that it felt good to bring it back into the world. Like the way that you were intervening that space, that moment. The energy would then switch it around, and then you would put it out there again.
Come around again. And I've always been, I mean, I'll talk about this later, but I've always been quite kind of aware of like eco ways of working as well. So it was really important to me not to have like mass produced things. So it was always, you know, taking what we could and being really resourceful. So, you know, not putting more dyes and things and everywhere, and, you know, just creating for creating's sake. So I was always very fond of that. And actually, when I started painting, sorry, I'm skipping ahead a bit, but when I started painting, I at one point was making my own canvases to stretch them, because I'd use reclaimed linens and reclaimed fabrics and kind of patchwork them together, and part of the fabric would show through as the painting. So I really like that. I mean, I don't do it as much at the moment, but I think that'll come back for me, because it is quite important, and I like the storytelling element to it. And I also like that I don't know the whole story. If I've got reclaimed fabric, I don't know where it's come from. So it's offering me something that's still unclear or a mystery, and then I work with it, you know? It's hard to explain.
So, I know, no, I get it. I do understand what you're saying. And I think that that's part of being a creative, and using our hands and touching and feeling. I mean, I think that all comes to that, right? I mean, just having that connection.
Just a sense of wonder of these things have existed in the world and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, maybe it will come back. I still work with, when I work with collage in my work, I do work with reclaimed fabrics, and sometimes like old clothing. If I've had I did some work recently, and I found an old summer top that was like black and white stripes, and I'd no longer use it. So I ripped it up and that went in. But I like that element of it, that something very personal is in the work as well. Something I've had for years, or it was a really close friends or something, you know. I enjoy working with.
So what happened right after then? The furniture, was that a segue into starting a painting, or how did that even work out?
Well, I'd always, on the side of all these businesses and working as well, I had tried to keep some sort of creative practice. But I dotted around for years. I'd do a bit of dressmaking, a bit of textiles, a bit of this, and it was quite frustrating. Although that sounds fun, I got frustrated because I couldn't see any progression within each. I'd just do a bit of that and a bit of that and not develop anything. And I just couldn't commit. I had a real problem with like, just do it for 3 months. Just try it for 3 months, and I couldn't. And so it came to a point where
you're not alone, Sally Ann. You're not alone.
It was 5 years ago now. This is it started the 5th year. It was 5 years ago that I just thought, sorry, that sounds like I'm on an industrial estate in my studio. I knew something. Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
It was 5 years ago when I decided that I would dedicate to painting, and that was it. And so I put everything else down and thought, if I want to see progression in this, I need to do this. So I did, and now I can start bringing some of those elements back, like the textiles, because I feel like I've made my foundation in painting, and I've got a bit clearer on my direction with it. So now
were you self-taught then in painting? How did that even start? How did you pick up a brush, and how was that process?
I've always, as part of one of these dotting about things of, you know, all these creative things, I have always painted as well, because I've always really enjoyed the process, and the really simple application of a brush paint on a surface like just amazes me. And that's what kind of just fueled I guess my interest in it. And I didn't really, if I'm honest, this is going back further than the 5 years, when I was just messing around, I didn't know what I was doing, if I was honest, and I didn't know what intuitive painting was. I thought mine were just like weird symbols and characters, and I just didn't really understand it. So I kept it quite hidden as well, because I didn't really understand it. And then I found, I think it was Flora Bowley, I was following her at the time, and that's the first time I'd heard about intuitive painting. And I bought her book, and I remember it being such a eye-opening moment, because I thought, wow, this is real. What I do is actually out in the world. It's real. You know, I didn't feel isolated, I guess. So I was like, wow, people, you know, my work is very different to hers, but it was the processes that she was talking about that I could identify with, regardless of, you know, the style or what the work looked like. So I think then from then
Can you briefly talk about the process for people that haven't read the book?
Well,
or for yourself, what was your process? Yeah.
Well, it's just responding to just mark after mark and going with what you're feeling. So being very present at the time when I'm painting. And if arm wants to go off in that direction with a mark, it can. And if a piece of, I don't know, fabric or whatever, collage wants to come in here, it can. And it was just like having just going on pure feeling. What do I like next to that? And I don't know where these inspirations came from. I think even back then my work was, I've always liked lines, so there was always lots of sketchy lines in it, but maybe it's always felt kind of a little bit compartmentalized, and I'm not sure if that comes from the textiles, you know, like sort of almost patchworking. These are the sorts of things that I'm trying to work out now as I'm more serious about it. You know, at the time I had no clue. But yeah, and it was a lot to do with in Flora's book, she was talking about movement as well, and that's something that I really liked. You know, moving with your whole body when you're painting, but I didn't know anybody doing this, so it was just a bit. Am I just a bit odd, or you know? So this gave me a real good like grounding to be like, wow, I could push forward with this.
Affirmation of what you were doing too.
Yeah, and she was with yoga, and you know, she was like, do a bit of painting and then come away from it and move your body and, you know, put some music on, or, you know, just all these different ways to tap into that, you know, your intuition, and be free with that. You know, don't put limits on yourself, and yeah, just being really accepting as well to what comes up, not trying to work it out, just losing yourself in this creative process. And yeah, it was a real gift for me actually to do that. And so I felt a little bit more confident in like, oh, I could, you know, just go with this. And it wasn't until much later that so when I decided to commit to this, like 5 years ago, I thought, I do want to get some more like training on the technical side and things, or just again probably more validation, you know. And so I looked around and I found CVP with Nicholas Wilton. I think I'd followed him it takes me a long time sometimes to get into things, so I think I'd probably heard of him for about 2 years or so till I decided.
Until you committed. Yeah,
I can't commit. But I would watch like the YouTube videos and things, and really liked his processes and thought, oh, okay. And the thing that really captured me about doing the course was I used to get to that. I had no problem in starting paintings and like the process. I loved it all, but then some paintings worked and some paintings didn't. But I didn't understand now how I understand how to read the painting, and does it have enough of this, and putting different principles in. Well, that was all new to me. So I wanted to be able to understand my work more. Well, why does this one, in my eyes, look good, and why does this one not? I needed to understand that. So I did that.
I mean, I think once you start really going into painting and you know, just diving into it, you really need to understand composition, design, value, all the things that, you know, it might have come naturally to you, but when someone is telling you, okay, your eye needs to go all around, you have a quiet conversation, you have a loud conversation, you know, all those things and elements that can make your work amazing, you know, even better than what it was before. But now you're understanding why. And I think that is very important.
I think it is. And the more I learned to understand why, the more questions it brought. And then I would feel like it was, I think last year, so that must have been my fourth year in, or third or fourth year in. And I was reading my work, and I was just, there was something that I felt was missing, and I didn't know what it was. And I just felt, you know, this is brilliant, I understand more, but now it brings up more questions, and I'm sort of picking holes in my work. But I think this is good, you know, and we have to, because it's how we develop. But I realised what I was missing, or I felt like I was missing, was a real strong design and composition. And so I really am a fan of Jenny Nelson's work. And I love the way she handles composition, but in her really painterly way. And at the time, this was, I think it was, maybe it wasn't last year. Was it last year? Yeah, I think so. And when the pandemic hit, because I was thinking, oh, I'd never be able to go to one of her workshops because I'm like over the other side of the world. And I kept thinking, oh, I hope she does one online. I hope she does one online. And then a few like months later, she'd advertised her course and it was online. So I was like, right, you know, it wasn't even a consideration. I was doing that. And that changed a lot for me. Layered on top of what I'd learned in CVP, and then taking on her teachings, really sort of shaped, I guess, how the rest of the year panned out for me, and really made me explore what I was looking for. It was more forms and more shapes in the work, and it was kind of like, I described it as something to hang on to, because before my paintings were very loose, very expressive, but I felt like I needed them to just pull me in a little bit. I wanted something to rest on, and I felt like it was through shape or some sort of organic forms. So
wow. I mean, that's just, I mean, that's incredible that, you know, that I think it's such a personal journey that when we decide to do this professionally, you have to tap into everything that is out there, and whatever speaks to you and whatever language speaks to your paintings. And then, like you said, ask the questions to yourself and see if you can answer them. And if not, you know, start looking for them, you know, start looking for the answers, because the why is so important.
Yes, yeah. And I think, you know, how fortunate are we at the moment? Like, I can say, oh, I really love so-and-so's work, or how they handle this. And then now, because of the way we're working online, we can study with that person. They can become my teacher. Like, we're in such a fortunate position now. As soon as you want to work with somebody, you kind of can. Like, our toolboxes are overflowing. It's like, what do
exactly. Our inspirations are every day in our palm of our hands. So, I mean,
I can't do too many courses, though. I get really overwhelmed with things, and I like to go deep. So as soon as I read that there's something missing in my work, I'll reach out and look for that. But then I'll sit with that for the next year, you know, because I really need to absorb that teaching. So then it's, because when you first learn something, it's just like a copy of what you're being taught, and it takes a while for that then to embed into your own work, and, you know, all your other processes and techniques. It sort of layers in somewhere. So, yeah.
So what made you decide, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get now a new studio, and I'm going to get bigger and maybe teach now? And I mean, you have a lot going on.
I have a lot going on, yeah. I worked for just until, so I left my job, my full-time job, last November. So it's only been a few months. But I was working for a UK, one of the youth charities in the UK, and I used to help young people who had just set up in business. I used to help support them and mentor them. And working for a charity, that was amazing. I worked with them for about 7 years. Absolutely loved it. But I never felt very secure in my job, because it was a charity. You're always relying on funding and things. So I always knew I didn't want to rely on it, you know, so I always had my side thing going and thinking, one day, you know, I'll grow it more. And when the pandemic hit last year, I was furloughed, and that for me cemented the thought that my job isn't secure, my future isn't secure. And even at that time, because of what the pandemic threw out, I thought, even if I was working for a different company now, not a charity, I don't think any job's secure. So it felt like I really needed to kind of take my destiny into my own hands, you know, kind of thing.
Yes, yes.
I can only rely on myself, and, you know, we don't know if this is going to happen again or whatever. And I just thought, come on, if you're like, I felt like if I didn't do it, I would be letting myself down and telling myself the internal messages that I don't believe in me. And that was a real hard thing to sort of take. And I think as well, like, I lost my mum about 3 years ago now, just 3 years ago. And not saying that, you know, when these things happen, they're life changing and stuff, but they are. And I also thought to myself, if I don't do it now, why I'm still, I'm really full of energy, I'm full of motivation, I'm passionate, that could be gone in 6 months, that could be gone in a year, you know. And it's like, if I keep waiting and waiting, what am I waiting for? I might not be in the position financially to do it, or my home life's really stable at the moment, you know. So it was all these things that kind of like gave me the sense of security, I guess, and confidence that I could take these steps. And
I think
when I
you
was
just said the key word is, what are you waiting for? And I think this whole past year and a half, you know, I think what are we waiting for? It's only us putting our
yeah,
own, you know, putting a stop to our lives and to pivot and change, because it's scary, because it's new, because we don't have all the answers. And I think it's just something that sometimes we have to take that leap of faith and get out of our comfort zone, because that's when the best things happen.
it is, and it's hard to take those steps, but I could really see that when I took the steps and made things happen, like things started happening, and then that gave me confidence and a reference point to say, right, I did that, that happened, do it again, do it a bit bigger, do it this, and each time you're like, oh, but you know, you grow and you learn and you develop, and you know what, like, so what can happen? And if I fail doing something, or that doesn't work out, there's actually, I shouldn't have used that word, there's not a fail. Like, everything I've done in my life I've learned from. There's been real highs, there've been real lows.
Yeah, it goes like this. Yeah.
And you know, I'm still here. It's like, and that makes me a more rounded person, to experience all that and then be able to navigate new situations. And you know, if I sat and worried about everything and really was, you know, cautious about what was going on around me, I couldn't do this. You know, I
How
had
did you
feelings.
start selling your work, and how did you start feeling confident enough to start your Instagram? And now you have a huge account on Instagram. How is that? How did that happen?
I think when I first started taking the painting seriously, I put on a really tiny exhibition in like a church hall, and it was actually a friend, she was helping out there or something, and she said, do you want to actually, there's a local art trail here where I am, but that was on at the same time, but I wasn't part of that art trail. But she said, do you want to have a little wall space? So I was like, yeah, okay. And it was just kind of, do you know what, Sandra, I didn't care if anybody came, I didn't care if I didn't sell anything. All I had to do was prove to myself that I could get X amount of paintings together, get them framed, and get them up on a wall. That's all I had. That was like my criteria. Prove to myself that's my first step, and I did it, and I actually sold quite a few pieces.
Oh, wonderful.
Friends, you know, like giving me a bit of support, but it didn't matter. I just had to stand back and know, right, tick box, I've done that, I can do it again. And then the next year I applied for the art trail, the real art trail that I wasn't a part of that year. I applied for that and I got in, and so that was a real nice moment as well, because I started building my local community. So that went really well. And
Is that an art show, like a market? What is that?
it's in our local town. For 1 week, actually this year it's 2 weeks. We're going to do it in September, but it's about, I think there's about 80 or 90 artists now in the group, and a lot of the local shops, whether they're you know, estate agents or bakeries, or everybody just takes part, or as many shops as possible take part in the art trail. And as artists, we get allocated a space in one of the shops or the things, and then, you know, people have a guide and they can stop
Oh,
off at
that's
each.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. It's like an art fair, but
Yeah.
it's like, it's more than that, because you are collaborating with the businesses, the existing businesses.
Yeah, yeah. So it might be, I think mine was, I had a really lovely venue for 2 years running. It was a cafe on the seafront, and it was all
Oh,
really lovely, light colours. So my work really matched in with it. You know, it's like it was meant to be there. So that worked really well for me. And we had, like, on the opening nights, all the doors were open and we had a live music there and stuff. So
oh.
those little moments make you think, oh gosh, I'm doing this, you know.
Yes, for sure. And
So yeah,
then, yeah.
I think
And
it's only last year in the pandemic that I started to grow my Instagram account on a larger scale. And I think it was because when I got furloughed, I just thought, right, this is an amazing opportunity for me to just like test myself. You know, can I be? I was really lucky. I just moved house and I had a home studio. I had a whole room to myself, and I was in that room literally from morning till night, just working, working, working. Started posting on Instagram really regularly, like daily, and I started opening up more and sharing. Actually, it was Natalie who we mentioned. We built a friendship before then, I think. We said, I think it was our 100-day project, and we did the artist journals, and we both had this want to be a little bit more open and share our story a bit more, and we were sort of like nudging each other along with doing it. And but that was amazing for her and for me, and that's how my Instagram account grew so quickly. And I think it was just by sharing. I mean, sometimes it wasn't even about the art, it was just really relatable content about life, you know, and what you're going through and how that comes up in my work, you know, because it's very, how I said, like painting intuitively, you're very present, it's very of the moment. I could have I don't know, a crossword with somebody outside or something come in and it might come out on my canvas, or I don't know why I'm not going to have crosswords.
well, and I think that also, and you can tell us, it's 12:30, so I want to just be mindful of our time, and I want to see your whole gallery space and talk about your work, and we will also want to talk about how you have merged some music and yoga practices into your studio, and how awesome is that? And I think we'll finish with that because it's so incredible.
Okay,
So, but
where do I start?
let's just, why don't you grab the phone and turn the camera around and bring us around your beautiful new space.
Okay, right. So I'll start from right. So this is my studio as you come in the door.
Oh, God, it's so
Pretty amazing.
beautiful and big, and
So
you have wonderful lighting too.
well, it's I have all these windows, which is lovely, but actually that's my painting wall over there, and it's a bit dark when I'm over there, so I need to rig some lights up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll make this brief. So this is all my storage runs under here, and this is a lovely worktop that I've got a handy friend that makes these for me. My studio is filled with plants and little objects and things from forage stones from the beach and lots of things here. This is my gallery space. Let me move down here. Sorry if I'm shaky.
No, you're good.
This is like my sofa area and gallery space. I've got a light set up here because that's so when I'm not fully set up yet, but at the end of each month on the weekend, I'm going to have open studios where I can invite people down to see my space, and this is why I've got like a seating sort of area. These tables here, everything's on like adjustable, movable, what they call it, legs or whatever.
Legs, yeah.
Because I want the space to be used as well. I want these to be able to be whipped away so that we can use the space for like different retreats and events and things. So everything's really movable and versatile. But they'll be used as the workshop tables. This back wall here is my painting wall.
Let's go closer and let's just focus on your work right now. And okay. If you can tell us a little bit about your work, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, so I'm always developing my work, as you could probably tell from our conversation. So I'm always like looking to understand it more. But the basis goes with really sort of expressive marks to begin with, and there's always lots of sort of layers and mark making. So I might start with some really light washes on the canvas, and then I would do lots of really expressive mark making, and that could be anything, just loose marks or some experimental drawing. I'd look around my studio just to grab some lines from here or there, and then I'd just keep layering it up, really. And this is what I was talking about with the history. So under here would have been really dark before, and then I'll, you know, sort of lighten it, but not perfectly, not all of it, you know. So I've got bits showing through. I work a lot with really loose glazes. So you can see here, and I use the reason I've set up my space like this, I go from the wall to the table like really quickly, and I work flats a lot on here because I like to use the paint as like a pigment and add lots of water, and I push the water around, so I get really lovely loose like glazing layers that are really translucent.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was looking at. It looks like, you know, you have a history behind each layer, which is what you are trying to figure out where that history is coming from, or, you know, or that's what you're attracted to. And so all the layers are just, you know, a way to inform that history.
Yeah, I keep thinking that because I think I'm just going to take you over to the gallery again. I keep
Yes, please.
thinking that I'm wanting more of a framework to my work, because like this was a piece, it's quite a large piece I finished earlier in the year. And again, I love it. There's loads of like these, you know, really beautiful marks and lots of layers. But I don't know. I'm always I'm always going through the questions of how loose do I want it to be. Like that one is much more, you know, like shape forms and much tighter.
Yes.
But then I'll
Yes.
have things like really loose collages. So I'm constantly kind of, I don't know. I'm sure it'll all come together at some
Well,
point.
I think that you're trying to ground your pieces somehow. And I think the figure is something that you're looking for to ground your pieces.
Yes.
You know, it's important to breathe and have the resting space, but it's also important to ground the piece. So if you
Yeah.
can find the balance, I think we all strive to find that balance,
Yes.
where you can breathe and at the same time feel, okay, I have arrived to this piece, you know? And so,
Since moving in the studio, it has been, hang on, turn you around again. It's been really eye-opening because I start with pieces like this that are quite heavy and working with lots of value contrast. But really quickly, I've moved on to really pale pieces, you know, with like lots of, I'm thinking, is this my yearn for space at the moment? You know, because I feel like mentally and physically, I've got so much going on. So then with the paintings,
you
I
can
just,
calm it down.
do I just want very like loose layers? So everything's feeling like some of those in the gallery. I mean, I love them as paintings and I love doing them. But now I think, am I looking for more calm, more space? And it's so it's interesting. But I wish I didn't always think about it. I wish I could just do it.
I know that that the intellect, you know,
Yeah.
that we can shut off for a minute and just use our intuitive painting,
I feel like,
which I think it happens in the first 20 minutes of each painting. I think you know, we are so free
yeah,
when we're not judging and we're not editing and we're just putting, you know, paint on the canvas or the wood or whatever you're doing. When the intellect starts to creep in, which it
yeah,
has to at some point, because we have to make design, you know, decisions or all these little intricate things. When our brain starts to work in that sense, you start losing the intuition,
yeah.
and so that's where the tricky part is, the finding that
Think
fine
the why.
tune.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
always why. What does it mean? And I've even questioned that about even painting really abstractly lately. I've thought, am I really going through something here with, with my paints? But I love the process. So, you know, I'm sure it'll come out. I go through this, and also with such you know, I'm very adaptable and I just sort of do one thing, do another thing, carry it in my stride, get on. But actually on a deeper level, you know, these things must be quite big moves for me, like on my subconscious. And so it takes it a little while to catch up maybe. Whereas my mind, I'm just like, yeah, next, because my life's been like
Well,
that.
and you don't paint everything that you paint. It doesn't mean that you're going to fall in love with it, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be a successful painting either. And
Yeah.
so you just have to, like you said, you just have to go through the process and let it be, and have not great days
Yeah.
to get to the better days, you know. And it's just this swapping of good and bad, and trying to find the balance, the best balance that you can.
And also, not every painting has to say everything. You
Right,
know,
exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
sometimes it's just a moment. It's just that moment where I decided to say, that's enough on that one. And I've got to be okay with that. But sometimes
Right.
I'm like, oh, but is it enough? Is it that? Is it? Oh,
I
anyway.
know, I know, I know. So what are
Oh,
your favorite materials that you use? And do you use wood boards, or usually you're on canvas?
let me turn you around because I was quite well planned for this section. So I use a stay wet palette most of the time if I'm just playing with like small amounts of colour. Otherwise, I use these pots and mix bigger amounts of colour, or glass jars and things. Normal brushes, these are, I'm not very good with brushes at all. I'm not very careful, so I don't buy expensive brushes. But yeah, I just buy a few packs. But I do try and use them like till they're, even when they're dry and hard.
Yes.
These are wooden boards, and I really like working on those. But I do also, those ones you just saw on the wall were all canvas. So I can treat them differently as well. But the glazes that I'm fond of at the moment work well on either. So that's
Oh
really good.
yeah. Yes, I agree.
These have changed my life. The
Oh,
paint.
they are amazing, aren't they?
This is what I've been pushing. When I said to you, I use lots of water. So I have my, I wonder if I could quickly show you actually.
I
Have
would
we got,
love that. Please
okay, hang
do.
on. So let's just say, I'll do it on this piece. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of paint on my brush. I can just like put it anywhere. And then I'll get my spray bottle. And this comes as part of, I think, my meditative kind of yearn and want. I can just like push this around, and then
Hmm.
if you see, it just comes in, and you can obviously leave it pooling or sort of drag it through. But if you're putting it over like your line work, it just makes these really
It
lovely,
adds beautiful. Yes, I agree.
just a
It
real
adds
nice,
that glazing. Yeah.
yeah, and a real nice depth.
Wow.
If you then go, can you see that? Yeah.
Yes, very much
Go
so.
on top of that with some opaque paint and then a glaze again, and then that's how, you know, I build up these really lovely layers until you come to a point and you go, right, I really love that bit, I've got to stop. You know. But I could go on like that for a long time. That's like my cross stitch, I think.
Oh, I love that. That is so gorgeous. And what I love
um,
about them is that it comes in different widths. And so, yeah, as you can see. Yep.
just
Yeah.
what else do I use? So lots of different things. These, just this size. I don't actually use this for spreading paint, but I use it to like get the straight lines on this level, on this scale. You know, if you're using a bigger canvas, you can use the big painter's edge, but these
Yes.
are really the small like tools I can flip around and things. Lots of palette knives, and the rollers, the brayers. I
Yes.
really like a printed effect. I use that quite a lot. And then I love things, let's have a look. I love the China marker because I
Oh,
have
yes.
lots of like, see on that glaze there, if we just went up and we could just do some line work, when you go over it again, it doesn't smudge.
Ah, right.
You
Right.
know, if you
Because
use a
it's
charcoal,
not it's water resistant.
yeah, it's like a wax. And then
It's not
also I
water
use,
soluble. Yeah.
yes, not water soluble. And then these neo colors, they
Oh,
are,
yeah.
what I sometimes do is dip these in the water first, and then same sort of thing. so I can use this and then possibly drag, you know, some of it.
So the mark stays a little bit, but then you can, yeah.
But they are water soluble, so they obviously do like move around.
Yes.
But again,
Yes.
you probably can't see it. But the tiniest, like most delicate layers, I spend a long time doing that. That's like my happy place, I think. So yeah, just various really. I use pencil crayons a lot. I like the soft ones that are very pastel-y. So they sit on acrylics really well.
Yeah, beautiful. What brand is that?
This one is a Stabilo.
Oh, it is a Stabilo. Oh.
Yeah.
I love Stabilos.
Yeah, they're nice. Yeah, just loads of, what else could I show you? I don't know, loads of things. I often use things like these colour cards to play with palettes, you know.
Yeah.
Well, this is,
I do. Yeah.
This is a brush on a stick of bamboo.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
so you have zero control.
Yeah, I use it on the wall and on the floor mostly because I can really like, and just my random clipping together. Everything's, you know, I'm very resourceful.
Yes, I can see. Oh my goodness, it's so fun. So, when you will have your students come in,
Yes.
what type of workshop do you think you're going to be teaching?
Well, I've got a few that are planned. I've got my first full day collage workshop coming up, which I'm delighted
I'm so
about.
happy.
I know. We're going to make, when I collage, I always make my own papers. And that's a really, again, I think it's just this meditative flow that I like. You can just do paper after paper after paper and really get in a rhythm with, you know, different dots and marks and things. So we're going to do that. And then also I've got some, I don't know if you know, online, I run the Experimental Drawing Club with Natalie.
Yeah.
Amazing sessions. They are online, but I'm going to do my own experimental drawing in the studio. So I've got that one coming up in July as well. And for August, because I'm like growing in confidence, because obviously my first month I was like, oh, you know, what can I do? For August, I've got a gong bath with painting, intuitive painting, and I'm going to start a women's painting circle in August as well. I think I've got something else coming up. Oh, a women's retreat in September where we're going to do like visualizations and meditation and then movement and things with it.
It sounds amazing.
It's so cool because I've literally dreamed of these workshops pretty much like my whole life. And I thought, you know, one day sort of thing. And I've always wanted to hold retreats. That's why I've named my studio Art House Retreat Studio, because that's what's going to happen here, you know. And I named a collection of paintings last year, and I think I'm slowly manifesting till I get this like art retreat somewhere hot.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
and people are just craving to go back to in-person, you know, anything right now, really, truly.
I held a workshop the other night. I've got some ties with a local yoga center where I sometimes have exhibitions, and they've got a really lovely cafe called Chai, and the lady that runs it is really keen for it to be like a creative hub. And we held our first intuitive painting workshop there just last week, I think it was, and it was so good. I think there was 14 people came, so it was, I think I only had 15 slots because of social distancing and things. And everybody, do you know what I just love is people coming in really nervous and going, I can't draw, I can't do this. And by the end of it, everyone's on the floor with paints and like, whoa, I can't believe I did this. So it's just
so I love it.
It's so cool to see people like,
oh my gosh,
surprise themselves. And then that confidence that comes,
yes.
They're like, oh, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing this. And I just think all those people at home that, you know, we never open our art materials, we never do this, because we're so fearful of this like approach and blank canvas. And part of my workshops is just like brushing away all of that, and we just like go with our process. How can your intuition be wrong? you know, it can't. There's no mistake.
Yeah, no, you can't. Exactly, you can't. And Sally Ann, do you have the painting that you're going to yes.
I definitely do. One sec.
So generous again. Um,
Okay. So this
so
painting is called Neutral Constructs. And this was a real turning point for me last year. Do you remember when I said I did a course with Jenny Nelson? Well,
yes.
this was one of them. I'll just quickly show you. This sort of came and this all at the
Oh,
same time.
wow.
And it's when I was really searching for form and shape. And so this one
Yes.
has all my history lines that are underneath, and it's really textured. And it just has, like, I was looking for these shapes in the work and trying to like join them together, form them, making really like
Oh,
organic.
that is just beautiful, you guys. And whomever buys this today from Sally Ann, or please think of the people that you're going to be helping for Feeding America. You can purchase this. We'll let you know how the process goes. We're asking, did we say 250?
Yes, yeah, $250.
$250 for this incredible piece of artwork. You will be helping 2,500 meals by buying this today. So I can't tell you more than you're going to be an owner of an incredible piece of artwork from Sally Ann, and her beautiful spirit and her history and everything is, you know, just beautiful piece of painting, of artwork, and you will be helping people at the same time. So please DM me or Sally Ann, and we'll let you know how to make this payment. The payment goes 100% of the proceeds go to Feeding America. So together we are stronger, and thank you so much for donating this piece. And Sally Ann, I'm going to ask you to post this painting so I can so we can post this so people will be interested in buying it and helping.
Yeah, I'll post it after our session.
And
Oh,
before we go, if anyone has questions, this will be the right time. I just put on the comments. So if anyone has questions, this will be a perfect time. But I want to know too, because I know part of your retreats are going to be with um, music and all this, like, I mean, you're partnering up with other artists. So will you talk a little bit about that?
yeah. So I've got really creative friends. I'm incredibly lucky, and one of them, she makes experimental sounds and beats, and she does this really crazy thing. It's so cool with like sensors, and the sensors, they've got they've got music to them, but as you move, it makes sounds and plays music. So as like we were painting and move the brushes, your body is making these sounds as well. It's all a bit over my head, if I'm honest. I don't really understand it. I understand the painting side. But I'm keen to think like that with, yeah, movement and, you know, fluidity with yeah, just mixing the whole lot together. I'm really keen. There's a local yoga teacher, and he does a session that's it's kind of really animalistic, and you know, they get really low to the floor, and I think if I could mix that with some painting, it reminds me of being quite primal and quite tribal, and I'm envisaging those bamboo sticks with the paintbrushes, you know, on like loads of paper that runs down the center of my studio, and just like, oh.
Oh my God. I want
But,
to be there with you. Oh,
oh.
it sounds
No,
amazing.
these are just all the workshops that I want to go to. I thought, at least if I start with those, surely I've got to aim for the, you know, the ones that really fuel me up. Even if they're really obscure, I think I want to do these first, and then whatever, I don't know what the future holds, if they'll work, if they won't, but I've got to go with what's in my heart, and that I can never be sorry about that, you know? I can
No,
never.
not at all. Not at all. And especially because, you know, you're just a sunshine coming out. I mean, seriously, your energy, and you're so positive and you're contagious, and that's what we need right now. You know, we just need people like you that are
Oh,
contagious and can inspire people and have them, you know, not doubt themselves, but just feel free to be whomever they want to
I
be.
love to see it in others. I love to see it in others, and if I can help unlock that and for facilitate that for somebody, it's this is what I sometimes say. It's people that come to my workshops. They end up sometimes in tears, and it's like because so much comes out, and I really embrace that, and it becomes more than the art. It's about your life, and it's and it comes out in my art when I'm making more bold decisions and I'm feeling stronger. My art is that, it's a reflection of what's happening in my life, and
Yes,
yeah, it amazes me.
yes,
And if
yes.
I can
It's
help somebody
incredible.
do it, that's like so rewarding for me.
Oh, we'll have to do a part two, Sally, after all your, you know, all this, yes, workshops, and just learn like everything. Bonnie just said that you have the best energy, just bursting out of positivity and aliveness. I could not agree more, Bonnie,
Thanks,
with this.
Anna.
Incredible, incredible. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that we met, and I'm just thrilled that you're part of my army of artists. And let's keep helping people, and let's keep moving together and making a difference. And oh, Carolyn, thank you. You're here. She's going to be joining us in July, so I'm super excited about that. And
Oh, Caroline.
um, yeah, do you know Carolyn?
Yes, yes.
Oh, great.
So,
So yeah, this is great. So thank you everyone for being here, especially you, Sally Ann. You're just an incredible human, and I'm so honored to meet you and know your work. And you can also buy her work today or this whole week to come. And we're asking $250 for it. And let's keep helping people. So thank you again, and we'll see you on Saturday with Natalie. Take care,
yeah.
everyone.
Bye,
Bye
bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Bonnie. Thank you, everyone.